Listen to the Healing Guides podcast with Hanna on Spotify. This is an episode on a perversion that I want to talk about. Usually I just mix them all together, but it's nice to sometimes give examples of what I mean by perversions. Because there's a lot of things that human beings, the devil taught you that is just normal, even though your conscience says no, it's not. You're disgusted with it, you're uncomfortable with it. And this episode I'm talking about, I don't like the second word, but I'm just going to say it for the sake of education. So Muslims don't do this, but non-Muslims do, sadly. And that is oral sex. And the other one is anal. So the anal, God Almighty did not create it for sexual conduct. He created that for what the anal does. It releases feces. It's not natural for you as a male and a female who come together sexually, who are not related to each other by blood or anything. Your natural, healthy male and female couple is not normal, it's not natural for you based on how God Almighty designed you to go to each other's anal. So whether it's the male or female, doesn't matter. Both of you, you have an anal. You're not supposed to go there. Leave that alone. You're harming your body. You're harming the organs basically below the urinary. God designed that for just feces to come out. It's not a hole that is clean and has nothing in it. Instead, it actually has a purpose. So one of the ways you can know if something is natural or not is by looking at the design itself, the way God actually designed the body. So if you actually touch the anal, if you try to go through that, there's feces in it because it just usually is usually holding the feces. You eat food, it goes down. Okay, you can study the biology of how that happens, but when it's basically down in that anal area, it's already there. There's always feces there. You're just not going to always feel the need to go until it gets really close to wanting to come out itself. Then you're going to feel the need to go, or you're going to run to the bathroom. The feces is always there. So it's something that homosexuals came up with. Who taught it to them? The devil. Because they're unnatural. God did not create the same gender for each other. It's unnatural. So what they do together is not sex and is not sexual. It's just self-rape, self-torture, self-dishonor to each other at the same time. So they're harming each other. They're killing each other. Muslims, we use the word kill. They're actually killing each other. That is one of the most, that's a moment that God is extremely angry at the same time. When you go against your nature. So when the devil, thought of, using this evil that God created, because God created evil, the devil didn't create evil. He just teaches it to you. When the devil was like, he's going to use this type of evil, the perversion of homosexuality to destroy the human race. When he thought of this idea, because it wasn't around since Adam and Eve, it first got introduced in the prophet Lot, is what they call him in English, but Lut, Nabi Lut, or Prophet Lut is what we call him in Islam. Sodom and Gomorrah. Obviously today, those homosexuals are possessed. They don't know what they're talking about. Is there demons possessing them that are lying and coming online and saying, or just in face to face saying that the reason those people were destroyed was because of arrogance? No, it's because they were homosexuals. That's it. No other reason. Arrogance, hatred, envy are just emotions and qualities that any evil human would have, such as they. But that's not the reason God killed them. He destroyed all of them because of homosexuality. So, and that obviously means at some point they will be taught and told by the devil to go and actually try to rape a lot of people in society, the bigger they get as a society. So religious people are trying to save your soul so you don't become like those human beings. So they're the first human beings in history, that city, that actually learned this perversion from the devil. And then maybe it popped up here and there every now and then. I'm sure a lot of human beings who did that behind the scene were just hiding it and getting married to the opposite gender, which is very disturbing, because then they do all that filth with their private parts, and then they come to their actual spouses and they use in the same private parts. So human beings, I wished, tried to find a way to figure out what their partner is doing away from them with their private parts. Even if it's not their private parts, they might just be, letting others touch their other areas of their body. So you always need God for that reason, because we're not self-sufficient. We can't know things that we need to know in order to survive, such as what your partner or spouse is doing. People are just happy. They just get married every day, but they don't know what these spouses are doing behind their back. And you would agree, this is a very easy perversion to hide, because since it's with the same gender, human beings are friends with the same gender. So it's easy for that husband to go with his male buddies and you don't know what they're doing. That wife to go with her female friends and you don't know what she's doing. That's why you need God Almighty. You need to always pray that He guides you. If there's something going on, if your spouse is becoming evil, before they even get into it, that God warns you. So that's another reason why people who are really close to God like me are not really comfortable with marriage, unless it's someone God Himself assures us over and over and over again, they're not going to be corrupted. They're not going to do anything. Because God can choose someone for you. That's fine. But they could become evil, obviously. That doesn't mean they're perfect just because God chose them for you. Everyone has a spouse that God ordained for you. If they die, if something happens, He'll change them to someone else. But that doesn't mean God is saying they're perfect. So you're going to have to pray in a specific way where you're like, God, please give me someone who could never do that. You get me? So I'm always reminding you to pray, therefore. When I warn you against anything evil, always pray against it, is also the message I hope you take. So anal, it's not a sexual organ, therefore you're harming that organ. You're hurting it. 2, when homosexuals do it, because they're unnatural and it's just rape and it's self-harm, and they're dishonoring each other and they're killing each other and they hate each other. That's why they use the word love. They actually hate each other. You actually cared about somebody, you wouldn't do evil to them and you wouldn't let them do evil to you. So they actually hate each other, because that human himself, herself, those individuals are filled with a lot of mental problems. They have a lot of hatred themselves. They have a lot of abandonment issues. They have a lot of self-neglect. They have a lot of trauma. They have a lot of history with being raped and molested. They have so much baggage, but they don't want to tell you because they don't want help. It's that arrogance that they don't want to change. Just like other humans who are evil, like a thief, it's not specific to them. But they hide it with this perversion. They don't want to tell you a cause. They'll always lie and be like, this is just how they felt all their life. But if you go back in history and you observe them, you'll actually see it. Someone did something to them. Someone taught them something. They just don't want to say it, because then they know you're going to try to stop them using that story. So they have to delete that story and say nothing happened to them in their childhood. They always just felt they're going to lie. Because who's inside their body? A demon. And the demon is the one lying, okay? Sometimes it's actually the one talking to you, and sometimes it just tells the human what to say. Okay, so let me just hurry up. I don't want this to be past 15 minutes. So if a male and a female do that to each other, I'm sorry, When two males or two females are attacking each other in the anal, they're trying to kill each other. They're trying to harm each other. So because they're trying to harm each other, they're harming an area of the human body. It's that simple. It's like murder, but in a different way. It's a murder of attacking the body God created, not just the sexual organs, not just the private parts, trying to kill it. Because some private parts are not sexual, not just the private parts overall. Just they obviously touch each other in other areas, but they're killing each other every time they touch those places. If you're a healthy masculine man, if some male tried to touch you, the way you'd feel like this is a predator, right? It wants to harm you, is the way you should feel when you see two homosexuals together. It just means those two want to both be harmed. So they're sick in the head because something that one of them would normally hate, this one is okay with it and the other one's okay with it. Therefore, exactly, you should feel compassion for them and know that they're in true darkness and pray for them. We're not supposed to kill them. We're supposed to call them to God, just like Prophet Lut or Lot did. It's up to God to decide if he wants to get rid of them. A lot of them will change. A lot of them will come back. I promise you that. Every day, I'm seeing a lot of them coming back from that nonsense. You can just watch it on YouTube. There's a lot of testimonies where they're all telling you how God saved them. Even though, you know, they have a false perception of who God is. They think God is Jesus. God is just one. The Trinity is in the Bible, which, is corrupted now. But the original Torah is sent by the same God that now is a Bible, is sent by the same God that we Muslims worship, who also sent down the Quran. So anyways, I talk about religion in my other episodes. Do listen to that. So anyways, that same original God Almighty that I worship is the same God that's guiding them. But sometimes he might let them become Christians. You get me, instead of a Muslim, because that's just the easiest for them that moment. God is the one that will understand how to deal with those human beings. When everyone dies, he's the one who's going to really judge Christians. He's not going to treat them like disbelievers. He's going to actually judge them fairly, okay? Because it's not their fault that they don't know who God is. Muslims don't even spread their religion correctly. And even if they tried, it's not going to work because there's perversions and sexism that are pushing people away. And those people have a conscience and they're right for saying no. It's just that they're ignoring, the evil in their Bible. So that's kind of where they've basically failed. Okay, anyways, when homosexuals do that to each other, they're doing that because they actually intentionally want feces to be involved in their conduct. They actually want feces to come out. They actually want that to happen. So for that reason, they're going after the anal. Two, they obviously, I'm sure, pee on each other and do filthy things. They're hurting each other. They're beating each other. They're choking each other. They're strangling each other. Violence is something the devil put into a moment between a male and a female who are not related. Their sexual time together, he also put violence into it, abusing each other, beating each other. And it's in porn because the devil is trying to find a way to teach you. You think he can call you to a room and be like, come over here and watch this male and female beat each other up, but they're going to do something sexual at the same time. You're going to be like, hell no. You're going to call the cops. Okay, so he made it easy to corrupt you by putting it in porn. Slowly, he takes you away from the ones just acting, sort of normal way. It's just evil because it's shameless. You're exposing yourself. God is obviously hates that. But, he takes you away from that. And then slowly he tries to push you to the violent ones. You get me? It's still male, female. And then ones where they're actually acting like they're raping each other. It's outrageous. Or one is raping the other. And then one where they're actually emasculating the male. He acts like weird or he acts like a female and he's emasculating himself. And then boom, you go to the homosexual one. Then they show you images of teenage girls and old males, etc. I had to get traumatized by studying all this. Study it by researching what people are watching, by listening to testimonies of what corrupted them. Okay, and then oral is the same thing. Your mouth is clean and is not designed for something filthy and perverted, like touching the private parts. It's a dirty place. It's just for kissing and talking and praying and worshiping God Almighty. It's for good things like that. So your mouth, something you use on each other, you kiss each other. How can you put that in the private parts? That's disgusting. So use your conscience. Leave these things that you know are dirty and filthy and weird. Sex is only natural between a male and a female who are not related by blood, extended family like cousins and other extended ones. And they're just natural male female. The age is a good combination. It's not too old, like 5 years and older, 5 years and younger, and they compatible, they love each other. Okay. Your natural sex is only you using the vagina and the penis together. They're supposed to mix because they're private parts. Okay, and your mouth is only supposed to go to each other and the rest of the body except the private parts, anywhere in the private parts. Private parts means what's inside, not like the butt or anything like that. No, what's inside, those areas that you would say have liquid coming out of it and they're dirty, etc. Leave that alone. Don't put your mouth there. Leave abuse, leave violence, leave peeing on each other, doing things like homosexuals do, which is the oral and the anal, doing anything else they do, such as beating each other, killing each other, whatever you want to call it, raping each other, and violence. Filthy words, foul language, saying words that a rapist would say to a victim. What the hell is wrong with you? Aren't you acting like this is a good, compassionate thing that's romantic? Why are you involving all acts of abuse that a predator usually does to attack innocent victims? Why are you involving that into your own sexual conduct? Because you're possessed and you've become evil. And one day they will push you to go and actually rape somebody. So stop, reflect, leave this filth, leave this dirty stuff, leave this perversion, leave this unnatural, and go to your creator.